Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. I have Lak from Binary Stream joining me today to talk about the upcoming new event that's actually hit our calendar, which is Directions for Enterprise 2026 that's happening out in Copenhagen, Denmark in September 2025. So with that, first of all, before we get into really me asking Lak a few questions, I really wanted to get Lak to introduce himself a little bit, because I know not maybe everyone knows who he is, and maybe not everyone maybe knows who Binary Stream is and what they do. So, Lak, do you want to do a little bit more of an intro of who you are and what you guys do?
Hi, John. Thank you for inviting me. My name is Lak Chahal, President and CEO of Binary Stream Software. Binary Stream being an ISV in the Dynamics community for almost 26 years. We originally came from Great Plains space. We built strong solutions for different industries. And 7 years ago, we moved a lot of our IP from Great Plains to Dynamics 365 Finance and Supply Chain and Dynamics 365 Business Central. So we are one of the ISVs, which is kind of indirect ISV. That means we are not an SI/ISV. We are pure indirect ISV in the sense that we build our solutions and we work through our partners, right? Just like Microsoft, our kind of like focus has always been from day one is to work with partners. How do we build trust level? How do we build strong alliances? And obviously in the community, there's system integrators. There's also ISVs like us, right? And there's also Microsoft as well, and then our customers, the end users, right? Yeah. So in terms of our solutions for Dynamics 365 Finance or Business Central, we are not a platform agnostic. So our expertise really is to be able to build products within these platforms, leverage the full capabilities of these solutions. So really, as an ISV, we are basically totally in the ecosystem and work in that ecosystem as well.
Good. So really where I want to go with our real first question is Binary Stream, and I've known you for many years. I don't know if I've known you for 26 years, but I've known you for a good part of that. So I know that Binary Stream is a big supporter of the community, right? At the end of the day, you're pretty much everywhere when it comes to events. What was it about the Directions for Enterprise event that really made you feel that you needed to be involved from the beginning?
Love it. John, Directions has done a great job in Business Central space. If you notice, Directions North America, Directions EMEA, Directions Asia, and there are a number of events really to energize this whole environment. And to be honest, there was a gap in there for Dynamics 365 Finance and what I call is enterprise/SMC business space, because we have actually built our business really strongly in the last 7 years. We have our subscription management solution, and we have our property leasing solutions in that area, and the multi-entity as well. So what we're finding is that really there was a gap in there. And I think it's a great initiative that there is a start on that side of the business. So really we can cover fully. We are very much I mentioned before, we are totally partner driven. For us, it's exciting thing to have that, to be able to go to an event where we can really connect with our Dynamics 365 Finance and supply chain partners. And of course, there's so much changing these days with respect to AI, and both internal use as well as in the products as well. And we've been working very closely with Microsoft on that as well. So it's really by connecting in these events, right, allows us to connect with other ISVs and really learn from each other, but also working with our system integrated partners to really build stronger relationships, whether it's in North America, whether it's in EMEA, whether it's in Asia Pacific. Those are kind of big areas where we're seeing a lot of growth.
Right. Yeah, I think I was just trying to work my mind back. I think thinking about like on the enterprise side, I think the last real dedicated conference, if I've got this right, was the tech conference that used to happen out in Seattle. I think that was probably the last dedicated for the enterprise, if I'm right? And that goes back quite a few years now.
Absolutely. And I think the good news was the Business Central side of things really picked up, but on the enterprise side, there was definitely a void. And you guys are doing a phenomenal job to bring it back in a way. There is obviously, convergence used to be a long time ago, and it's sad that it got canceled, but now things are picking up on that side. But to me, I think Directions does a kind of a unique job in this community to be able to really make these events very valuable for ISVs like us.
Totally agree. Be interesting to see if we end up getting an enterprise version also here in North America at some point. But exciting to see. Yeah, I mean, it's exciting to see it come back because I agree with. I'm 100% with you as well. I think it was something that was definitely missing. So I'm excited to see it actually pop up on the calendar again. I know over the last few years, I've been talking about some of the enterprise people I know, and it's like, yeah, it's definitely something which was needed. So great to see it on the calendar. But at the same time, we add another conference on the calendar, That then, for some folks, starts to stretch the investment, Your team only has so much time. You only have so much budget. At the end of the day is, yes, these conferences are very beneficial to you. How do you deal with that to try to make sure that you are going to the right conferences and, if possible, being at every single one that you need to be? How do you deal with that, Lak?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, John, because it is challenging for sure, The more conferences there are, you're kind of stretched for resources, and but at the same time, you have to balance based on a value you get out of these conferences. So we know that certain conferences are must, So they're basically almost mandatory that we do have to kind of attend those because that's where we're going to meet some of our kind of strategic partners to be able to really build relationships. And so I do agree with you. I hope when there's a multiple conferences, people can collaborate together to align them the right way so that there is no overlap, so that can be done. And the more actually the consolidation, maybe in the future, these conferences are kind of consolidated into both kind of like platform can be at the same time or kind of work anyway. We know the audience-wise there can be differences, but there's also an overlap as well. The partners who are in Business Central, they sort of, the community is still, to me, is in growth mode at the moment because really, if you think of, we came originally from GP, so a lot of our partners who are really our trusted partners, we worked for 26 years, majority of our business still come from those partners. So we got a huge opportunity out there, the partners in the Dynamics 365 Finance and Supply Chain. We are working our way through, but we have a long way to go to really build the same trusted relationships. And then you start looking at regions as well,
Yeah.
Whether it's in North America, EMEA and Asia Pacific as well.
Yeah, and I think you bring up, without going like a real deep and philosophical about like being at these events and getting into that heavy ROI, but at the end of the day, I think there's also the other one, it's like trying to look at the brand awareness, being at these events. If you're trying to break into the markets or trying to make sure you're in front of the partners, for example, which is what this conference will be more focused around, which is the partners. And if you're selling in front of those, sometimes not being there is actually a big mistake, so at the end of the day, somehow being there, you have to be there because that's your audience, and I think that's even bigger key from my experience way back in time when I was at an ISV. I think when you get into the enterprise size, you need to be where the partners are. I know that's definitely key as well in the small part of the SMB space, but I think it's even more important in their enterprise space as well. So it's brand awareness, being there, talking to folks, and as you're building up, like you guys are, build those relationships out there, and that takes time. And when you go to these events, you've got everyone in one place. majority of the time. You're not having to go, especially in Europe, right? You haven't got to go to 20 different countries. Hopefully you've got all the key people in one place. So that makes it a little bit easier.
Absolutely, John. I can't highlight that enough. You're so right that really you had to make these investments, and you had to be the right size to be able to. And as long as you can see value in those, which is what we see from the brand and Directions brand, it's been great. So we know that it's a good investment, right, and we're going to get our returns on it. And especially Dynamics 365 Finance, like you said, is that it is definitely different from Business Central. So the partners are different. They're much bigger, much more complex. There's also, even in the deals we do in Dynamics 365 Finance and Supply Chain, the enterprise company have a very different mindset to the amount of depth you need and the complexity you're managing as well. So all those are very, very critical to be able to make sure you're connecting with the right partner, the right contacts, the right relationships, building that trust level, building that alignment, making sure that we can really probe in to see the kind of help they need to be able to build a strong mutual relationships.
Right. So one of the things I want to do is change our conversation a little bit. I mean, we can't not talk about AI, right? And AI is pretty much changing all of our industry, right? Up, down, left, right. How is it changing what Binary Stream builds, the way you're serving your customers, the partners, and how you're thinking about the future? I know that that's a big loaded question. Actually, probably multiple questions in one. I know we were slightly talking about this a little bit before the call, but do you want to give me a little bit of your insights of what you guys are doing?
Yeah, John, this is I can't show the level of urgency. It's the game of survival, right?
Right.
Very, very different from many years ago, where you would go through these different transitions, because we've been for 26 years in business, and we always kind of pivoted to adoption to the new area, whether it's cloud computing, whether it's biz apps as they evolved, and then AI is a game changer. It's like we started actually a number of years ago, even before ChatGPT came out. We were looking at OpenAI in Azure, as well as machine learning and so on. So our goal was always to really kind of adapt to give the best value to our customers, give the best insights and so on. But now it's totally different. It's like basically, if you imagine you're an ISV, and your business is totally changed in the sense that no longer a developer is just in the background coding. Our biggest challenge has been, always been is the amount of resources we have available to build solutions, right?
Right.
There's no small area you can say, okay, so it's really always been our biggest cost is our people. So really the teams have to change. The people have to change internally. To be able to really much more customer driven, much more what we call is customer first or partner first approach, and AI first. So in those areas, you have to really work in a way that every role within your company, every department you have to really look at, evaluate AI, how it can help you, but give you really a tangible value in those cases. We are seeing a difference in some cases, maybe tenfold returns on, but it also AI requires a lot of adoption and so on. And many ISVs in our space, sometimes we're ahead of them, sometimes they're ahead of us, right?
Right.
So it's this continuous learning where the conferences play a big part in connecting with many of the other ISVs. And we have a great relationship. Probably we work with 30, 40 ISVs who integrated with our solutions. For us, it's very, very critical to learn from them, and also so we can provide some of the learnings we have in there. So we've been heavily kind of involved in. That's one of our biggest investments we have. But in the same, one is internal. The other one is actually working closely with Microsoft on many of their initiatives on AI. And we've been very fortunate that both on Business Central and Dynamics 365 Finance and Supply Chain, we've been involved in many of their initiatives to really look at technologies. And sometimes even Microsoft's kind of gone through where they were ahead of the game, but they may be behind, right? So there's code red or a time to really kind of push forward. And Microsoft is catching up with all the latest tools, whether you're looking at Claude or many others. But the amazing thing is that Microsoft is very adaptable. So I noticed that the kind of things they're doing behind the scenes is like a work IQ, which is just, we're part of this new initiative as well. But my point there is that this is a kind of like a race to survival, right? So It's no longer we can sit back and take 5, 6, 10 years to adapt to the new areas and work through. Really, let's be honest. So like in a SaaS business, you have to really you can either kind of basically sit back and wait things happen, or you have to be in the front to ride the wave, right? So for us, it's about how do we kind of basically drive more value for the company by kind of adapting to AI and taking full advantage of that. But really all kind of like making our change in a way that every developer is not a coder, but they're kind of architect of the technology. They have to know that, but really they shouldn't be coding. They should be kind of looking at how do we create better value for our customers and our partners, right? And make sure that is not something you can just kind of put a few prompts here and there. It requires a lot of big investments to be able to build that infrastructure that is learning as you're going along, right? So for us, it's been an exciting journey so far, but it's also there's a lot more to learn and make sure we can ride the kind of like AI wave in a way that we come out on the other side much stronger, right?
Yep.
And that's why I think it's now more than ever connecting and collaborating, sharing knowledge, right, is very, very critical for us for the survival of companies like Stream, for instance.
Yeah, I think I would echo a lot of what you just said. I think at the end of the day, I think the piece that I picked up and I think is where I'm seeing a lot of the success, and you said it was, which is adopting it internally, right? At the end of the day, I think that's the first part, right? If you're not adopting it internally, it makes it harder for you to really start being able to support the customers and partners, right? If you can't adopt it internally, then you've already got a problem, right? So you need to work on that. In my mind, this is Jon's mind, and you can tell me otherwise, but I think that's really the priority. Work on that first if you're not already doing that. Solve that. How can you use it internally? How can you find efficiencies? How can you find improvements? Whatever that is, if that's helping the dev team, if it's helping the finance team, whatever it is, marketing team, that's where you start, right? And then from there onwards, once you've got your head around that, then you can start to look at outside world, right? How do I then start maybe looking at how do I enhance my product? How do I then interact? And I like where you're going. It's like, I know you guys touch lots of other ISVs, right? So therefore, you all have to collaborate. And if one ISV or two ISVs are not working with AI, then that has a knock-on effect to all the rest of you, right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
It's a bigger piece.
Absolutely, Jon, because your expertise on marketing and we have a team of 9 people, and I've seen some of your articles you publish on in terms of how to adapt to AI as well. And I think it's so critical that our team has done a phenomenal job. Even in marketing, we are adapting to a number of use cases of AI that really is a game changer at the moment.
Right.
It's the kind of stuff we can do in market research or getting insights into the data that we have. It is phenomenal. I've been amazed at our team, our VP of marketing, Neil Cran, is showing me some examples of how our team is adapting to that as well. So whether it's marketing, whether it's sales, whether it's development, to me, ISV, the development is the biggest one. Like I said, it's we are 150 people, more than 100 people we have in the engineering side of things, right? So right. It is definitely a game changer in terms of the value you get out of adapting with the AI areas, but it's also investments as well.
Yep, definitely, and I think I'd wrap it even on that. It's moving so fast. It excites me, right? And I think I get the feeling it excites you. But at the end of the day, for us, we've seen a lot of changes over the years. I think everything is moving so fast, and at the end of the day, tomorrow something else is going to be there, and we just got to keep on adapting.
Yeah.
Just as we look ahead, I think at the end of the day is, as we're sort of wrapping up a little bit here, is what excites you the most about what you're seeing in the ecosystem and where it's heading, maybe with the partners, the customers, where you're seeing maybe things are going in the next couple of years. I think AI is probably top of mind on that, but what else maybe are you seeing? What changes are you seeing on your side of the fence?
So one thing I do see is more and more like collaboration happening between ISVs and SIs, right, to be able to drive success together. That's always been to some extent, but really is how do you work to make sure that you reduce risk for the end user, right?
Yep.
And you really leverage your experience in a way that you got a deeper relationship, so you're working as a one team, right? It sounds like a kind of straightforward stuff, but really when you dive deep into it, you see the kind of differences in terms of, let's say we're talking about Dynamics 365 finance and supply chain, which I mentioned at the beginning, that the partners are very different, right? The needs are very different. It's kind of like, as we kind of go further down, it's that kind of like area where the more and more clarity between what are the ISVs, what value they provide, right? Because many SIs, even right now, the people who came from NAV or X, they thought they can be both SI/ISV, right? But there's also ISVs which purely can basically provide so much value to the end user, right? In a much more lower cost kind of way. So the whole area is changing in terms of value, right? Whether it's value for the partner, which I mentioned before, like partner first approach, or the value for the end users, right? So that to me is really I think is the whole adoption to AI and making sure that end of the day, the products we build are kind of like basically evolve over time, right? So that so this ecosystem keeps on growing and evolving, right? Sort of, I would say really it's a journey, right? Sort of, and that journey for us started 26 years ago, and I think it's going to keep on evolving. And having these conferences are a great place to collaborate. You know, I love to connect with people I've known for so many years. You go there. It's so exciting. It's like a family coming together, right?
It is.
So all those things are, I think, very critical for us to make sure that, especially like, for instance, we actually have a lot of customers already in Europe, right? In a number of countries in Europe that, and for us, it's very, very critical having this conference in Copenhagen. I've been there a number of times. It is great to have that kind of visibility and really, as you guys go further down, I hope these conferences gets really evolved into keep on evolving and collaborating. And so it would be nice to see actually get the same level of the ways on Business Central. I'm really I'm always amazed by the direction of North America and the direction of EMEA. They both sides done a phenomenal job to really provide a lot of value. So the first time ever I was in Directions Asia, that was for us is kind of like there's so many amazing partners in Australia, New Zealand, and Asia, you know, sort of like it wasn't really our main focus, but what we noticed is we can really grow a lot more to have the coverage in those areas as well.
Right. Yeah, collaboration is definitely key. I mean, I could definitely see collaboration is key. All right. I think that's always been, but I do see that as a big thing for the future. The more and more it gets beneficial, and I think that helps everyone. It helps the partners and it helps the end users as well. If we make sure that the ISVs can work together, right? Instead of leaving it down to the partner to make sure that, hey, does this ISV collaborate or does this work with this ISV, right? They're the ones most of the times trying to make sure that the two are not walking on each other's, right? Make sure the ISV is already there. Make sure that, and sometimes that comes out that maybe there's some enhancement that the two bring together that actually makes the products even stronger, right? So I think that's the other piece.
So there's actually very interesting, John, what you said there is there used to be like each ISV is doing their own hand-to-hand combat, right?
Right.
And what you end up actually having, and if you focus on different industries, you will end up seeing a pattern in there that certain solutions, there's a certain ISVs kind of working together. And one side is actually the technology side of things to make sure the products work well, so the end user doesn't have any risk when they install the product, and SIs don't have risk either, because you want to be making sure you bring your subject matter expertise in different industries and verticals, so you can really kind of provide a lot of value. But reality now is actually ISV to ISV is more about how do we collaborate together, how do we work from marketing point of view, from sales point of view, from how do we package it from pricing point of view, we can bundle our solution together, right? So that we can reduce the kind of complexity in terms of and Microsoft's marketplace and basically having kind of like a bundled solution from multiple players in there as well that can really streamline the whole process in a much more simple way. And that's really what I call is the next frontier in there for ISV to ISV collaboration. And we are already seeing with a number of major ISVs in our space. If I start naming, I probably will miss some of them, but it's great to see the kind of collaboration that's going on and sharing knowledge and trying to drive real value to our customers, right? And pool resources together, right? So this is where we're going to the conferences and doing things in a way that we can really share knowledge to show that we're all together as a one community, but more so from solutions point of view to say, okay, let's package them together, build bundles or build pricing together, and let's reduce friction for the partners so they can easily kind of do these things as well.
Yep. Less friction is always good when it comes to selling, right? Always good. Well, I really appreciate our time today. I always love talking to you. I could probably sit down. I mean, I know we've sat down and talked many, many times. I could sit down and talk to you for hours as always. But I know you're a busy man, and I know you need to run. But just for everyone, check out Binary Stream, but also go and check out, if you haven't already, go and look up Directions for Enterprise 2026. It's happening 23rd to the 25th of September in Copenhagen, Denmark. Still opportunities to go and register for that event. So you can go and find that. I think you'll find it's the website's directionsforpartners.com, or you can just go and put in Directions for Enterprise and just go and Bing or Google that, and you'll find the event. So I appreciate you listening today. Thank you, Lak, and look forward to seeing you at the next event. I will not be at that one, but I know I will see you at one event very soon. So thanks for your time today.
Thank you so much, John. Pleasure talking to you.